Hey everybody, Nick here. In today's video I'm going to be discussing the FNM standard I attended last night. The deck I played was Human Reanimator and I did pretty well. I went 4-1 with it. I'm also going to be discussing the decks I played and how they performed against me and how I performed against them. I'm also going to be talking about the meta right now, and I'm also going to show you guys my sideboard and what I would play in certain, depending what deck I was playing, and I hope you guys enjoy this video.
So here is the deck that I took to FNM Standard last night. So for my creatures, I'm playing 1 Cathedral Sanctifier, 4 Cartel Aristocrat, 4 Fiend Hunter, 4 Huntmaster of the Fells, 4 Angel of Glory's Rise, and 3 Mayor of Aberbook. This is a pretty popular deck. Hasn't seen as much play currently right now because there's a lot of grave hate for it. So I wanted to come with somewhat of a surprise, so I decided to put Mayor of Aberbook, and I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. But he's something to put pressure on the board, plus he's just kind of good. Like, he gives all my humans +1/+1, so it even makes a Cathedral Sanctifier kind of like a 2/2 body is pretty good. If that's a 2/2 and gaining 3 life, yeah, that's pretty good. And so it puts pressure on the board pretty fast, and I like it a lot. Cartel Aristocrat is just an amazing card, and I can make it pro anything, and so sometimes I need to like block a Thragtusk or something, and if I just need to like get one more turn or something, I can just sacrifice something, give it pro, and it survives that. Fiend Hunter is essential for the combo as well as a good creature removal. Huntmaster of the Fells is just a great card. It gives you 2 bodies and you gain 2 life, and it's really good about stalling the game. Angel's Glory's Rise is pretty much just for the combo. So for those of you who are not familiar with the combo, it involves Cartel Aristocrat, Fiend Hunter, and Angel's Glory's Rise. So basically, the goal of my deck is to fill my library with cards like Mulch and Grizzly Salvage, and hopefully get Unbarrel Raids and Angel's Glory's Rise and my humans in the graveyard. From there, I'll cast Unbarrel Raids, and I'll target my Angel, which will bring back all my humans. And I'll use Fiend Hunter and target my Angel, and hopefully if I have a Cartel Aristocrat and maybe like Huntmaster of the Fells is pretty ideal, because from there, Huntmaster enters, gives me 2/2 Wolf and 2 life. So basically with Cartel Aristocrat, I'll sack Huntmaster to it, then Fiend Hunter, and then Angel will come back and bring back all my humans to the field, therefore creating an infinite combo. So then I'll target with my Angel again with Fiend Hunter, and Huntmaster will enter. So I'll just do this a bunch of times, and I'll name a number like 1 trillion. So I'll get 1 trillion life and 1 trillion wolf tokens. So if they don't have some way to deal with that, they pretty much just die the next turn. So yeah, it's pretty good. So I'm also playing Abrupt Decay. That's something other decks aren't playing right now. I think it's pretty good. It deals with like 3 power creatures such as Boros Reckoner, and also artifacts and enchantments that I can't really deal with. The only problem is sometimes they'll get Mulched or Grizzly Salvage, and I have no removal after that. Faithless Looting is just a great card. You can get card advantage with it, not to mention if you just, I don't know, you have Unbarrel Raids and Angel in your hand, and then you're just like, okay, I'm just going to dump these turn 1, and then you just fill your grave from there, and it's just crazy good. Mulch is great about getting your lands. Even if you're not getting lands from, sometimes you'll just dump like a bunch of creatures and Unbarrel Raids or something and say, okay, great, I just got set up. Grizzly Salvage is good at times. Sometimes it makes me mad because I'll just dump like useless stuff, and I can only, maybe I need like a couple of lands. Like, that's the only difference between Mulch. I can't get all lands. I can only get 1 creature or 1 land, and sometimes I need 2 of the lands. So a lot of times if I'm playing against control, it's kind of aggravating if I need the white mana source, but instead I really need to get creatures on the board, so I'll choose Cavern over the white source occasionally. So my land is a little bit different, and some of you may notice I'm splashing blue. I'll get to that later. So I'm running 3 Cavern Souls. Ideally I'd like to run 4, but I don't own 4, but it didn't seem to be a problem last night. I'm running 1 Dragon Skull Summit, 1 Blood Crypt, 3 Temple Gardens, 1 Seven-Hill Grove, a playset of Stomping Ground, 3 Woodland Cemeteries, an Overgrown Tomb, 1 Sulphur Falls, 1 Steam Fence, 1 Isolated Chapel, and 1 Godless Shrine, Clifftop Retreat, and a Sacred Foundry. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the land base. I'm not playing any basic lands, which sometimes is annoying because shocks do hurt after a while. And if I have a handful of shocks, it can be kind of hurtful. If I need to have to take 6 life just to get my combo out, that may be just enough for a fast aggressive deck to kill me, which is pretty annoying sometimes. So the reason I'm playing blue is so I can bring in Is It Staticaster from my sideboard, and from there I'm going to start talking about my sideboard. So here's my sideboard. I am running 1 Borborgamos Enraged, 2 Ray of Revelation, 2 Purify the Grave, 3 Slaughter Games, 1 Abrupt Decay, 3 Is It Staticaster, 1 Cathedral Sanctifier, and 2 Rolling Trembler. So a lot of you are probably just wondering, what the hell is Borborgamos doing in my sideboard? He's actually really good in my deck, especially when my Angel gets Slaughter Games, or somehow I just can't get my Angel out or something and can't combo off. And so sometimes I'll just get Borborgamos in my graveyard or something, and I'll just Unbarrel Rights him, and people are just like, I don't really have an answer to that. And there's not too many things that can kill him other than like a Supreme Verdict. And so once I start singing with him, he's just crazy good. I'm revealing hand cards from it, and if I find a land, I can do 3 damage. So it's creature removal, and I just win games with him. He's stupid good. But if I can't get, I'm rarely gonna get the chance to hardcast him. Sometimes with control games, I can stall long enough, and they can't really win that fast, so I'll be able to get him out. But I only had that happen maybe once. Ray of Revelation is just a great card. Gets rid of Rest in Peace for me, and I can flashback it too, so it's really good. If it could destroy an artifact, it'd be even better. Purify the Grave is really good against control decks that are like flashbacking through Snapcaster, and I was afraid that I might play another Reanimator deck, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna Purify your Angel or Unbarrel Rights. Slaughter Games is really good just about any deck. I used it a lot last night to Slaughter Games Thragtusk, Sphinx Revelation, and Rest in Peace. Probably the most useful time I used it was when I Slaughter Games of Rest in Peace, and because I did it, 2 cards later my opponent was going to draw it, and he definitely would have won otherwise. I didn't have too much going, and I basically just stalled from there, and I was able to win. Abrupt Decay, sometimes I boarded in if they're playing a lot of 3 toughness, or 3 converted mana cost things such as Liliana, Burrow's Reckoner, other artifacts and enchantments that I don't like. It's a pretty good card, and it can't be countered, so I'm not worrying about it. It's good at a control matchup to kill like Blind Obedience or something. Is It Staticaster is great to kill 1 toughness creatures, and they get really annoying, such as Thalia, because that makes my Mulch and Grizzly Savage costs 3 now, and my Faithless Legion costs 2, and getting like it just slows down the game severely for me. And most people might not see it as that way, but now I have to wait an extra turn, and so it's pretty annoying actually, and it slows me down pretty heavily. So if I can get Is It Staticaster out, boom, I can kill your 1 creature toughness. Against Naya, I can kill your Mayor too, so it's a little overlooked, I think, to be honest. Cathedral Sanctifier, most run 3 in the sideboard, but since I main boarded 1, I decided I only need 1 in the sideboard, and I only brought it in once or twice. And I'm running 4 Huntmasters, so I was getting a decent amount of life, and it never really came down to having a low amount of life for me. It was usually when I lost, it was not close most of the time. It was kind of a blowout. Rolling Tumbler is just good against like heavy aggro decks that are just playing like 2 toughness creatures, and I'll just kill everything and wipe the board. Stall like hell. So yeah, if there's anything I could have had on my sideboard last night, it probably would have been maybe artifact removal. Maybe a Nevermore. Nevermore is great because I can just say, okay, you can't cast Sphinx Revelation, and if they don't have an answer to that Nevermore, then it kind of hurts. Or Rest in Peace. It's just, but not too bad. So now I'm going to talk about what hurt me last night and what matches I played against. So now I'm going to talk about what I faced last night and what I expected for the meta. I expected the meta to be very aggro-like with maybe a touch of control. In my local area, there's a lot of people playing control, but last night there's actually a fair amount of aggro, actually probably outnumbered control, probably like 3 to 1. I only faced control once. So my first matchup was Wolf Run Bant, and I actually was friends with the kid, and he said he copied pretty much card for card most of the day towards Wolf Run Bant list, and I was kind of frightened by that. I was like, wow, this is going to be a tough game 1 loss. And the first game I was able to combo off with these guys, and then I took that game 1 wins. Game 2, I was definitely scared because I knew Rest in Peace was coming, but he never saw Rest in Peace in that game, but I could never combo off, and he ended up winning that game because I had to stall, and I was using my barrel rates on cards that I don't want to be using them on, such as Huntmaster, which is okay if I have another rates in the yard, or I'm going to be able to cast my Angel and combo off, but there's no way. I was just doing it to stall, and even when I was stalling, it wasn't helping. So I lost game 2 of that match, and then game 3, he never saw Rest in Peace. I slaughtered gamed his Thragtusk, because I actually find Thragtusk a little harder to deal with than Sphinx Rev, because Thragtusk gives him 5 life and puts pressure on the board, and sometimes I don't have an answer to Thragtusk, and I once cast Fiend Hunter and targeted it, but then he Resto Angeled it, and that was kind of frightening. So that was during game 2. So I slaughtered games Thragtusk, and that worked out to be pretty good because he didn't really have any big creatures from there, and he couldn't put too much pressure on the board. So I ended up comboing off that game, and I won in turns. That was kind of a hard game. My second match was against the Aristocrats, and that was pretty much a card for card copy of Tarmatel's. He won the Star City Games somewhere, I don't know what the city is, but he won first place with it, or sorry, not Star City Games, the Pro Tour. He won first place at the Pro Tour with it, and it is a very good and frightening deck. Game 1, I was able to combo off because he didn't have any great fate, and game 2 he turned to Rest in Peace, and from there pretty much was his show from there, and I couldn't really produce any answers, and I had a lot of good stuff in the grave. By turn 2, I turned 1 Faithless Looting, got in barrel rates and Angel, and then turn 2 I was like, well, this game's gone to shit, and then he just loaded up his board and just killed me. Game 3 was a little more interesting. I definitely put pressure on the board pretty fast, and about turn 4 he got a Rest in Peace, and I wasn't able to combo out in time, and then he just got 2 Falcon Rafts top deck, and yeah, I didn't really have an answer to that, and he just swung for lethal, and it was bad. So that was my only loss tonight, believe it or not. And my third game was against UWR Flash deck, I guess you would call it. It seems like American mid-range kind of. My friend was playing it. I saw some of the cards in it, but I wasn't exactly sure. He was playing cards like Burrows, Reckoner, Geist, Angel, and a bunch of charms. I think he was missing some spells such as Terminus. But yeah, that was definitely not an easy matchup. I ended up winning game 1. I was able to combo off, and game 2, he could have had it his way, but it kind of slipped through the cracks, and then I didn't kill him with my combo. I just put pressure on the board, and he didn't really have an answer. And I won that game 2. I was really afraid he was going to cast Rest in Peace at any point, but he said after all he didn't have Rest in Peace, but he had other, like, Purify the Grave. So I don't know, I guess I got kind of lucky to win the way I did. So game 4 was against Borrow's deck, and that was game 1. I think he just needed to have a fast hand, and I had a pretty ridiculous hand. Turn 1 I got a Cathedral Sanctifier, gained 3 life. Turn 2 I mulched into Unbarrel Rates, an Angel, and a Huntmaster. Turn 3 then I cast a Grizzly Salvage, got a Fiend Hunter, and a Cartel Aristocrat. And turn 4 I cast some Barrel Rates and just wrecked his face. It was bad. He ended up just scooping as soon as I comboed out. He didn't have an answer to that. And game 2, I definitely was a lot more worried because he was like, Rest in Peace is coming in, and I'm not sure how many copies he put in, but it definitely was a close one. He started off pretty heavy with Champion of the Parish, and then went into a Lightning Mauler, and then eventually a Silverblade Paladin. Meanwhile, I didn't really have any pressure on the board. I think eventually I got a Cartel Aristocrat on turn 3 or 2. And then out of nowhere, I like got my combo from a Grizzly Savage or Mulch. I'm not exactly sure which. I think Faithful Zooty had some help in that as well, but I ended up Slaughter Gaming his Rest in Peace. I removed 3 copies, and that was kind of close because 2 turns later he would have drew a Rest in Peace, and it probably would have been done for if he was able to do that. And then from there he didn't really recover, and I just swung with my little wolf buddies right here. This is this card right here. It's probably the most underlooked card in all Standard. The legendary wolf token. But seriously, it's pretty crazy how Huntmaster just brings in a wolf token. I actually prefer it to be a 2/2 rather than a 4/4 in game 2 life, because 2 bodies is so much better than just 1, because a lot of times if they'll have, like, against control matches, they'll have a Azorius Charm, and they'll charm the wolf instead of my Huntmaster, which is obviously the better move to do, because that way I don't gain another 2 life. But if it was just a 4/4 body, I wouldn't be gaining another. I'd always be casting Huntmaster and not getting anything from it. So if I swing with both of them and they only have 1 creature, I'm getting in with 1 at least. So yeah, I don't really have to explain why Huntmaster is so crazy. Not to mention when he flips, he does 2 to your face and 2 to a creature, which is just ridiculous. Not to mention it's a 4/4 trampler. So yeah, Huntmaster is crazy. Probably my favorite card in the deck. And my final match was against Esper Control, and this is probably my hardest matchup besides the Aristocrats. That was kind of just, that wasn't too bad game 1, but with the Aristocrats, and from there I just kind of had a feeling they were going to win. It's a tough deck, and it's really good. I knew what I was expecting, and I didn't think I had too much of a shot. Esper Control, I thought I was pretty nervous with. I was 3-1 at this point. I knew I had a chance to top 4, and I never top 4'd at my local place. From where I go to college right now and call it my local place, but from my hometown I've top 4'd a couple times, but not here. And so I really wanted to, and I've gotten close before, coming anywhere from 5th to like 6th. I probably placed 5th, 6th, and 7th and 8th multiple times in different types of events. But anyways, so playing Esper, and they were kind of a slower Esper, I would say. I think we both ended up having like somewhere between like 8 to 13 lands or something, some ridiculous amount of lands. And at one point I comboed off, and then he just kept like Terminusing or Supreme Verdict, and I just couldn't swing for lethal. But eventually there's a lot of like things we argued over. I had to call the judge over, such as like when he Detention Sphere my Fiend Hunter, and in response I sacked it to my Cartel Aristocrat. And so basically Detention Sphere became useless. But the wording on Detention Sphere and the way I like said it in response kind of like was confusing, so we had to call a judge over. But after that, I think he didn't have an answer, so I took game 1. Game 1 took like 40 minutes out of this, or like 45 out of the 60 minutes we were allotted for the round. And the game 2 was just pretty much the same thing. He had some scary things. He boarded in Pet Needle, Rest in Peace, Purify the Grave, so he was ready to go against my deck. I had actually faced the guy before, not with the same deck. He was playing Azorius before GateCrash, but then he switched to Esper, and it was pretty scary before. I think his Azorius deck was actually more frightening than what he had yesterday, looking back. But he Supreme Verdict and Terminus a couple times, but then he didn't have any like gas to kill me, and at one point he got a Angel Serenity out, and for some reason he didn't target anything in my grave, which I can understand because if I had a way to remove it, it goes back to my hand. But I think he should have, just in case, maybe even if it's just one thing. But I ended up drawing a Fiend Hunter and then targeting his Angel Serenity. So yeah, it was probably a good move actually, after all, for him not to target anything. I didn't have anything to board, so he would have only been able to target stuff in the grave. And so from there I just kind of stalled, and it went to turns, and then there was nothing. He didn't have any removal for my Fiend Hunter at the moment, and there was nothing he could do to win. And so on turn 4 out of turn 6, he scooped, and then I ended up getting the W. So from there I ended up going 4-1, and I tied for second with another kid. We split second and third, and I got my first top 4 finish here. And I got this nice Reliquary Tower promo. Not the coolest promo, but it's played in pretty much every commander deck, and I play in my commander deck, and that's where it's gonna go. So it's not a bad promo by any means. It's not gonna sit in my trade binder by any means. I'll probably play it a couple times. I may actually give it to my friend because he said he really wanted it. And next month, for those who don't know, is actually the promo for next month is Farseek, and I think it's pretty cool. And if you're a Selesnya Guild fan, then you're gonna like it. Show a picture like now. But anyways, that basically sums up the night. I didn't play game day today. I didn't have time. I had to work, had a lot of work to do, and I have a bunch of tests next week, so I have to study. So I may play tomorrow, but I think a lot of people are going to be prepared for my deck now. I think that's kind of why I was able to win with ease a couple times, because I don't think people were too prepared for it. I'm the only one playing it at my store. But yeah, it was definitely a good night, and I really enjoyed it. So like this video and comment, subscribe. Thanks again for watching, guys.